Welcome to the Look Good, Move Well podcast.
Yeah, let's try this one. Joey Jojo Jr. Joey Jojo Jr. dot Shabadoo.
What?
At Joey Jojo Jr. dot Shabadoo. That sounds like maybe a good nickname for my daughter.
I know, yeah.
Joey Jojo Jr. What's your opinion on the Carnivore MD diet?
Oh, I bet you have an opinion on this.
Yeah. But the reason I took the screenshot of this is because, I would say, how I would start to answer any, like, what would be the questions? How do we evaluate any diet that's out there?
What's your opinion of anything?
Yeah. What's your opinion of Carnivore MD diet? What's your opinion of keto?
Intermittent fasting.
What's your opinion on carb cycling and
vegans?
If it fits your macros and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
My opinions begins with looking at, well, it's working for a lot of people. By working for a lot of people, it's people who are following a particular type of diet and are having success, either weight loss, better energy, improved autoimmune conditions, like I'm not going to argue with any of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, okay, fantastic. You have found a way to eat to help heal your body that you can stay consistent with. These people over here found a different way to do it, but it's working for them.
Yeah.
So let's support that, but the things that are making it successful for each group, there's oftentimes they're very much the same.
Yeah.
Why are the paleo people succeeding and the carnivore people succeeding? Well, if you do an evaluation of it and if you investigate it, oftentimes they're all eating a lot of protein now and they weren't before. Awesome. That's what's giving them success. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the things that I like about Carnivore MD I guess there's two Carnivore MDs that are out there. One is really popular and one is not as popular. I'm going to go with the assumption that we're talking about Paul Saladino, who's Carnivore MD 2.0.
Wait, who's the other one?
Sean Baker, Dr. Sean Baker.
I have not heard of him.
He's like the OG carnivore. Like he does not waver from carnivore. Uh-huh. And he's got a YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily saying you have to go check him out, but if you want to, you can. Paul Saladino has started out as the carnivore author of the Carnivore Code, but he has evolved his thinking to include a certain amount of plant foods in his diet, particularly fruit. So anyway, but what do I like about it? I like his position that he's looking for root cause of dysfunction and illness. Like, why are we having all these problems? Like, not, okay, there's all these problems, let's solve it with a pill or let's solve it with something. But, and he's very much a believer that, like, underlying all human conditions is an inflammatory process that's going on, which centers around our food and our digestion, particularly our digestion, and how what we're eating is impacting the gut, which is then impacting the nervous system and downstream, the heart, lungs, nerves, etc. So as he's evaluating whether something should be in the diet or not in the diet, it's coming from that place, which I appreciate. I appreciate that somebody's saying, look, like, all these conditions that are happening in modern times are not normal. These don't date back thousands of years. They date back decades. And before that, we never saw it. So something's changed about what's happening in the environment that's making these things so prevalent. So that's one reason why I like at least the approach to determining what goes into the diet and what doesn't. I appreciate that it's got some type of evolutionary perspective to it. Like, is this part of our life cycle or history as a species, or is it not part of our history as a species? I find that was what drew me to paleo eating, a decade ago. I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. Like, these foods weren't here 10,000 years ago, so maybe we shouldn't eat them. But it's centered around eating meat, which is a great protein source, which that is something that we're really, in agreement with, and most effective dieting strategies are in agreement around. He's talking about the quality of the protein that you're getting it from good sources, which I think is important. I've learned a lot about the importance of eating or incorporating organ meats into the diet, because organ meats are packed full of micronutrients. There's a lot of micronutrients in organ meats that aren't present in a bioavailable form in other forms of food.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last part, I think, is that just the attention to what foods cause gut irritation, what foods tend to not cause gut irritation. And what's interesting about the Carnivore MD diet is that, and I wouldn't say it's his diet, it's just his kind of approach, is that when people are looking at solving gastrointestinal issues,
mm-hmm.
there's a big, there's sort of an agreement that like elimination is usually the best way to resolve gut issues, is eliminate a lot of things so that you can figure out, well, what at the bare minimum can you digest well, and then reintroduce stuff that, one at a time, and figure out what's not working for you.
Yeah.
When you do an elimination diet, much of what's considered, this is what you eat on an elimination diet, falls into the foods that are on that particular, diet plan. It's like when you do an elimination diet, it's like, okay, well, just stick to broth and then add protein in, and then you can start to add in the more allergenic foods, the potential allergenic potential foods. So to me, that's like, oh well, this is kind of centered around like an elimination diet, getting rid of the things that are more commonly offensive to people's digestive systems, and then we go from there. So I'll leave it at that. But anything to add on your end?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have opinions on the Carnivore MD diet.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, it gets very tricky when you fall too much under the spell of this food good, this food bad. This person is good because they eat this. This person is bad because they eat this. And I think that nutrition is so personal and nuanced for a multitude of reasons that my main issue just with the way that the information is presented is that it is not very inclusive for someone who does not eat meat for personal, moral, religious reasons, cultural reasons. And I think that, from an information delivery perspective, which is something that I'm very invested in my role, I think that there could be just more education around helping someone, to guide them to a better choice, whether that sort of falls under this prescribed set of foods or not.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that for anything that helps people eat higher quality food, helps people get enough protein, and helps them feel better, I'm all for it. Like, I don't care what you call it or, like what that, structure looks like. I think that...
Or how cringy their marketing
or how
method is.
cringy their messages, or how much they say, bro, brother, primal, what up?
That's fine. Yeah.
That's fine.
If it's getting you to feel better, go for it.
Yeah, if that helps, inspire you, sure.
Yeah.
I think that, I'm able to separate the messaging and sort of like the movement around it, the cultural movement around it, from the actual impact. And I am in favor of impacts that help people eat higher quality and feel better.